Support for this episode is provided by Stable. I use Stable in all my gas-powered equipment. For engines with longer storage periods, like a generator, classic car, or motorcycle, use Stable storage. To learn more about the benefits of using Stable Fuel Stabilizer, click on the link in the description below. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the shop. Well, last time I took down the back wall, and I can't believe how much it's opened up this small shop. Really excited about the new space, and I'll get into some of the details on what I plan to do with it, but I just want to bring you up to speed on what's happened since. So after the wall came down, I had the electrician come. We put up the new American green light LEDs. I've got 5 48-watt fixtures on this side of the barn, 5 on that side of the barn, and 2 24 watts centered at the front and back. Since the electrician's been here, I patched in with sheetrock, and the only thing left to do now is to paint the inside of the barn and then just button up some of the loose ends with some molding and trim work. Before I start painting, I'm going to cover the junction boxes with 1/4-inch plywood, just little 6-inch squares. There is one that's hanging below the surface of the sheetrock a little bit, so for that one I'm going to have to make a little box. I'm attaching these with coarse drywall screws, and I'm just going into the sheetrock, so I'll get the screws started. And then I'll hand tighten them with the handheld screwdriver. The screws and the paint joint will be enough to hold this 1/4-inch plywood in place. I'm planning to replace the window with a door so I can get into the shed from the shop. So I'm going to move this rack down one space. I made this rack maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And it's made out of Ipe and Baltic birch plywood. And I do have a project video on my channel. If you want to check it out, I'll have a link in the description below. The color I'm painting the shop is Dove White. This is Benjamin Moore. And the finish is matte. I've never used this before. Usually I use flat, but I think that matte is easier to keep clean. I finished up with most of the painting. There's still a little touch-up left to do, but now I want to focus on the transition between the sheetrock ceiling and the beadboard ceiling, and for that I'll need to make a piece of molding. I'm starting with a piece of 1x6 poplar, and I'll make the first rip at 1.5 inches. When I rip the longer pieces for the molding, I'll also make a short piece, and that piece I can use as a test. The next step is to create a rabbet about 3/4 of an inch in and 3/8 of an inch deep. I've set the height of the blade at 3/4 of an inch and set the fence at 3/8. I've lowered the blade and reset the fence to 3/4. Now I'll test the fit, and that looks pretty good, so I'll make the molding with the longer pieces. To soften the edge of the molding and add a decorative element, I'll use a chamfer bit in the router. Okay, well, I just finished up with the painting, and I think the shop is really shaping up. I'm really excited about it. And just a couple of tips with painting. Some of you may notice I was wearing my shirt inside out. That's a good habit to get into when you're painting if you don't want to get any paint on your shirt, and if you do, then it's on the inside, it's not a problem. Another tip, and this is something I've been doing for a while, is to have what I call a painting bucket. It's just one of these tubs here. And in here I've got my painting pan, my spackling equipment, so the hawk, spackling knives, painter's tape, rollers, paint brushes, anything that I'm going to need for the painting part of a project, and I include the spackling and wall repair with that, is in this bucket. So now that I've finished with the painting, I put everything back in the bucket, I'll put the lid on it and put it back in storage, and everything will be there next time I need it. I want to talk about the new space because I'm really excited about it. I've got some great ideas, and we'll get into that in a minute, but first let's talk about the lighting. The light fixtures are from American Green Lights. I've got 5 48-watt fixtures on this side, 5 on this side, and then 2 24 watts centered at the front and back of the shop. I think the lighting is much brighter, much more clear. If you look at the old footage, you'll probably notice that it's grainy. I may want to add one more 24-watt fixture right here, and then one at the very front of the table saw. You can let me know what you think in the comments, because this video was all shot with the new lighting. But overall, I'm just really excited with the new lighting, and I think it's going to make making videos that much easier and the content that much better. So big thank you to American Green Lights. Let's come over here and I'll tell you about what's going to happen with this new space. The new dimensions of the shop are just about 16 by 30, so it's not a huge shop, although this space really adds a lot of space to the shop, but it's still a pretty small shop, so space is at a premium. That being said, this piece of furniture is going to go. Like I mentioned in my last video, I made this in the late 80s, and I'm just going to put it in the garage and it'll become storage. There are a lot of things in those drawers, so I'm going to have to make some shop furniture. I'm looking forward to that, but before I get to shop furniture, I need to deal with this floor here and this transition. I've got the concrete foundation, so I'll make the saddle, and then what I'm really excited about is this area is going to get hardwood floors, and I'm getting the hardwood floors from my friends at the Real Antique Wood Mill, and the floors are going to be what they describe as autumn. It's a few different species, all domestic hardwoods that are reclaimed. So a lot of character. That's going to be really exciting and kind of set this space off on its own. Because this piece is going to come out, I will be putting a classic workbench. I'm not sure if I'll make one or if I'll try to find one used. And another big thing for this space will be a built-in over here where I have the bump out, and the bottom will be drawers up to 30 to 36 inches, and then it will be shelving that will be behind doors. So I'm really excited about this new space. I'm going to keep bringing you along for the ride. I'm not sure if I'll be working on this next time, or maybe I'll take that window out and replace it with a door and start working on the shed that's attached to the barn. So that's it for now. As always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.